In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you the modified level 1 of the scissors. Now, the classical Pilates scissors exercise is an incredibly difficult movement and takes a lot of strength, a lot of flexibility, and it can therefore be fraught with a little bit of danger if you're not conditioned to do that exercise. So the modified level 1 takes it right back to basics and comes back to more of this kind of clinical element of lumbo-pelvic neutral being maintained while you perform your exercise. And then it gets you a really nice kind of objective read as to what your base level core stability is. So we're going to perform the exercise from the Pilates rest position, which is lying on your back with your knees bent and feet flat. So get yourself a mat or somewhere comfortable to lie. If you need a head cushion, have one of those to hand. And then I'll show you how to perform the level 1 of the modified scissors from the clinically modified Pilates repertoire. So as I said in the introduction, this tutorial is for the scissors level 1, the modified version, and it starts from the Pilates rest position. If you're not familiar with the things which underpin that position, just have a look at the video I've done on that particular setup. Now, this will introduce bringing one leg off the floor. So as opposed to our one leg stretch movements or the hip twist level 1 movements, which are what's called a closed chain, where the foot stays in contact with the floor, this will bring the leg off the floor into an open chain exercise. So there is a little increase in difficulty and therefore a few more things to think of. Again, I think if you're not used to these kind of exercises or haven't been practicing long, having your hands laid over your pelvis gives a nice bit of extra feedback. You want to be in your neutrally aligned pelvic position and have those deep abdominal muscles that are just gently switched on. Remember, when you turn on your core muscles, do it as you breathe out. Now, from our start position, the level 1 of the modified scissors, we take a breath in to prepare, and then as we breathe out, we draw our knee up and over our hip into a tabletop position. You then inhale to lower down. Once that's on the floor, we can perform the same on the other side. Exhaling to lift and inhaling to lower. And there is the basic framework for this exercise. Now, there's a lot that can go wrong with this. As soon as that leg comes off the floor, that base of support has been removed, and the floating weight of that leg will want to pull across to the other side. And you often find that that opposite side pelvis lifts as you perform this movement. So just be aware of that and see whether you can execute this lift with no opposite side movement of your pelvis. Now, the other thing which can happen is the weight of the leg can overcome the longitudinal stability going on through the front of our core, and as that leg lifts, the low back pops up and that pelvis rotates forwards into an anteriorly rotated position, and therefore the weight of the leg, whichever version you find is happening, has overcome the core stability unit which should be holding that in place and giving that lovely dissociation of movement. Now, it may just be that you don't have the requisite strength to lift from your rest position, so the first option is to bring your feet a little bit closer towards you. This shortens the length of that lever past the fulcrum of your pelvis. You can then modify the lift by bringing the heel up and then the toes, and that may very well allow you to maintain that neutral position without any of those compensatory poor movement patterns getting in the way. Now, if your knees don't like bending fully, or that's still not working out very well for you, then we've got the addition of something like a ball or a roller. Now, if you just place one of those underneath your foot, starting from your position, you can roll the ball a little bit closer towards you, and that kind of takes the pressure off the knees a little bit because it's just a fleeting movement. And then you can roll up to tabletop, bend the knee as much as you can, find the ball, and then roll back out. Now, if you do end up doing this technique, it's a really nice one to combine with the level 1 of the one leg stretch, where we can roll that ball or roll it away from us and then come back in and then merge into our tabletop. Now, what you're trying to do is just be able to keep everything else still with an absence of bracing or pain in the back as you perform these modified movements. Gradually, if you can get those muscles working in this kind of purple patch where they're just keeping control and being asked to do the job, gradually you'll be able to move the feet a little bit further away. So if you do find this exercise relatively straightforward, you simply start from a further position. Remember, the length of the lever, the amount of weight past that fulcrum of the pelvis, will determine how much work your core is doing, and therefore removing stability can make it more challenging. So as in other exercises on the mat, you can simply remove the arms from the floor, and that will mean that your stability muscles in your core having to do that a little bit more as you perform the scissors movement. One last thing to make sure you're not doing is, as you switch the legs on the floor, make sure that you're not having a loss of neutral in between that movement. Should be beautifully static, beautifully still, getting that lovely dissociation of movement throughout your scissors level 1 exercise. And once you can perform this exercise for 30 to 60 seconds without any problem at all, with no pain present in your back, you're ready to move on to the next level.